points spoke. These underlearned species through the spectrum of inner meat. Yes, of course, the heat of X. Openness comes at a price. Foxglove fingers leak. A palace's immense dungeons. Intransitive moat, then arcade, then green, then bell. It's all right, puddle on the floor. Don't worry, babe. It's going to be all right. Or it is. Oh, fish bones. Waist fervor. Nerve damage. The conversation ever morphed through leaving for rounds to make water and get the jukebox to give something good. As he finished his drink and the glass at the table, it all stopped and became a photograph. Knee-deep in the river of aspect, he was sentinels of the truest abstract. Objects of objects, ideas and ideas, clepsydral God, float in an ape-made jar, the were, now, and only the immortal, fragile, always, cause, untenable was composure. He had an album of these snapshots he carried within him like a book of poetry. These pure seconds made every forgotten night worthwhile. When the anti-present collected and started to mail them to the floor, two punctuated their man and jammed them. An extended stay in the one-person bathroom. Whining knock, rhythm, lines in cilia. They shot down bourbon and closed out and headed to the next range. The exit door, third eye open, white noise, vital organ, iron body, gut fluids, lost stream founded on the map, plywood of the open casket ceremony, clothes, banquet tables, overflowered grub nose point, adobe mortuary, roof cloud, court, esophageal drip, electric horse beguile, busker, bic slide, blues, ember, ash, ancestor, inert, buffalo, Springfield, waste plains of rust, bare branch, heartworm, rended muscle was its surrounding space. Drunk in uncity, stray, og, hunt, junk food, wrapper, tumbleweed, the lamellas, lice, burl out, emaciate spine, sanctuary at the bus stop, shoot time, fat sloven hole, vacant was main, but a pile, a homeless necessity, crumpled love, limo dark tinted window, parallel blanketed pour in the fretted sidewalk, the poet gathered hyacinth in their basin heart. She was playing at the third dive, the stage just high enough to inspire the body to give in and let go to the overflow of the jaguar god. The saber-toothed, shaking, love, dejection. Rendered of being delicious prey. The shirtless guitar singer was sweating a body of water onto his stomp boxes, the bass in high heels and a miniskirt jutted and posed. The drummer stared deep beyond into the ceiling of him, and the lead wore snakeskin print bell-bottoms and a denim jacket. The tattoos on her fingers, eldritch glyphs of an extinct Neanderthal tribe who once gnawed at the folds of astral understanding. The music was astringent and immense, a really dead sea, all the outlets gone, far so, and the intake was only, and in this way the mineral damned whatever wanted to live. Such an enormous noise. Not song, but gnarl, a trash can bonfire transference. After the set, the room felt dragged round empty and used. He was happy to run into her again. She got them a few rounds with their drink tickets. They smoked cigarettes. None of it was real to him. He was a space between spaces, and she was only a representative of that. Her face and shape and flesh, every crease was a platonic cave of convex mirrors in which he received garbled semaphores. Through each millennia of cavern a river echoed, sepulchral reflections reposited, turning horizon transmogrified, each a safe space to persist. He filled the strange chamber with Oedipal screaming which bloated like a victim until it was buoyant enough to dance in the river. They walked to his car. She lit cigarettes and told him her address. He hit the highway speed craved. Cowboy free in the great wide open. He woke up standing in her kitchen, staring into the sink, palms on cool metal. He slowly rode back into his body. It was howling. He had a pocket of memories, twisted lights, and broken paraphrases. He cupped water into his hands and drank and splashed over his face and hair. He dripped into the drain. Soon he'd be gone out into the ocean or just turned back through waste management facilities into the tap water. Either way, he would be recycled. The Sentinel's last charge. Sleet, ganglion, reef mud, arrhythmic, and trampled under hoof. The city's many legs loomed, Titan Organ Pump Mall. Each soldier buried enough our insipid stem of the tortured, once green and lovely field, encrusted nail, ankle near to teeth. What gave in the ego smatter, warhounds turned up on their nature, gavelled and unmade. Alone, distance is the last survivor. His life hauls behind him, slush between heel and boot, cold statuary skin standing in acres of service. These animal rent stopped him in his weary gludge, no fraction left of their affection, pushed into the murk. He drops to one knee in honor, and his body shakes and gives, and he must drop to the other knee, and finally to sit bones. He sinks in his old laughter bedded, hands on the caved apart dog head. Petting the carpal tunnel's sting, he would give them a true burial, a grand memorial. But he could not lift his arms anymore, and to carry them he would need a sieve. At last they were already in the ground. Rampart call as he sinks into the sludge to lay amongst his friends at the end of a fine day of dominance. He feels price as the bag that holds coin, parabolic shoulders crackle, mucus, salt, dry mouth shake. The only one left sees a funnel before him in the wide sky, which at the culminate rises on hind legs and bears atmospheric antlers that are the atrium of promises. The bond opens and he falls to himself inside vortexial esophagi, turning and crawling through, surrounded by an immense tonitic choir that is off tune and out of time. In the primordial holler, quadruped cuneiform arms and waist and fingers flex and breathe apart, in and out of recursive triangle, eclipse after eclipse after eclipse. The scalene body flourish and bloom to the tunica where he capillario courses. A universal inflammatory response moving more than forward, but persisting along it, the perpetual blood and earth vein layer. The soil is body, and the air is quaking. In the temple of poets, pallid pallbearers, plexiglass tomes above vampire hang upside down catenary arch. Bestial skin throbs sludge, eternal mare, finished prayers full with cold cask translucent. Quaking O-shaped prism, occasionally an apple, other times warhead, frostbitten fingers, scrimmed acolyte dripping transitional fluids, valent sign the seven Madonna moon, gain stages choir in the tongue of skyscraper, enquested meat of eye and palm, the bearers are cairn, seething glyph adorned, procession moves as fossils in dirt. Through time mostly, ectoprismatic apostles of mutagenic waste, multiversal lines rank and file. What's left of all splendor is a breath of their magnanimous ritual. Library lips part to accept the living buyer. Homeless stench perpetrate. Galaxial stacks of ohms and lie, cryogenic awe, suspended harms. Poets place their beauty into the altars, toothless mouthed host, where there they are at once swallowed, spiral down through sacra, return to conscript and anxiety they attempt to satiate with pleading. Motion flesh. Immaculate heat, unflinching far, comes to terms above oxidized mesa white sun, euhedral cysts, lithic phantasm exposing the desert's change, generational altar, a simple trauma, impression fervor against the current, fresh born every still second holding, pretemporal movement choosing to not acknowledge. The great baths, athletic pronounced ceramic soap, anti-life stench, obdurate human hooves, pleated pressure, mouthful of consonant, cellophane glisten. Between stations, the body shape streamed in molded film color, breathe irenic swell, stone, stone, air, stone, the breakdown of simple sugars. Tenable in humanity, epistemic fur, still without frost, audible, conductive cold. Raw meat November, immense atomizer, the forest, barren. Titanium dolmen, dehydrated girders, evicted in current. Drawer of milk teeth, what affords you insist. After a long day's shift, in the rained out street between stops, the open signs, radiant fuchsia sludge. All the passed out buildings are unlight a tempting place. The city is lithified trauma. Hapless, besieged whirs refuse under dormant bank portico, leftover fear swaddled in carpet bedding. Excarnate and bent and held in the subcutaneous space between slabs, the want thrum and whir. Their dream breached from the megacity skin, fresh on the grasp, flop and gasp. A lid with mercury, spilt acorn bounty spill from a till bowl under, lantern, flower, juggernaut, fire cracked spruce through to its petticoats, cold from halt, dry across the aisle, dwindle in the bus window slash, seeing myself there within and out, osseous of what was, the distance of being still this way, the wait when everything opens. Behind the door unfolds storm compost. The echo identifies himself as air. The window's glass move his mouth opposite. He wanders aloud, rezonin, Aries, Taurus, fully. The wisdom of a phantom limb. Subsidence. When I hold you to tell you I love you, it tears you to pieces of a coarse nurture. Each implosion, another implosion, branching to another, tangles of wood are of these uncountable. You paired in my wanting, the far fragment narrow. So in to in, grown spring fissure, non-ardent zero verse, foam raw number, gums emit teeth, spread this way, you, my you in this love would bend and undo, and words cursed aplomb, held between articles that don't matter until they are not this you of me that I pull, the amniotic flesh to broken age, give, folded up zero on the dirt slick foal, integer, coalescent, all this megatonic urge. The R was full for the on switch. I am a dog barking, maybe dancing comes next when the moon speaks back even in genderless sex gone fluid the. For now to smell wanting from so unattainable a distance is enough to clear. And what host a table with cups? Radiation roasted celestian body, cold tube burns, chemotherapy personage, all vomited out and still queasy. Dog on the floor in furs, unallocated take throat catching like a bum clutch, arc. Livid scabs, crack and discharge, Marias. Love permeate of sorrow, sour old neglect, and sober still rupturing the calm terminal. To the ululet on yard grass, the moon is an aperture of future, which means this is the decimated past. The door slick nose, trees wet in glaze. We are lonesome. The washing machine is on the rinse cycle in the garage, and water for tea is boiling on the wall. From a hook on the wall hangs a key. Slash. From my window, the cremated earth, I am in a white urn, listening to the water boil for tea. The shape cacophonous. At the window looking out, I watch for the sound, but can't see past the ghost of the anthropomorphized forest. I feel equidistant, or maybe just hyper-permanent. I can't see the difference all the time, the groves of my records, my body a host of eggs. Steaming botflies sprout these tempo memorial cells and pilgrimage at the gate of my seeing. The 3 decades hand are cupped for alms, the did and didn't resurface and pop and the shard fossilize on the absconded geography of their faces. They have no keys, only wants. Permutation bequest what happened, I offer what else was there. Believing of my name today that it made me and not the other way around, what is a name between points but a screen? A lowly page prodded and quartered in the pocket note unfold. Into a saline bath through which I swim for years. I surface in the cave of my name, uterine stone auriferous warren, polyhedral as love, which becomes of and within itself unclaimed. Cognate burrow consanguine tuning. To find my way in this house is impossible due to the ever-shifting psyche, progen, antechamber, boil, and bramble. Succession furrow, reverberous, sore feet short of breath. Question in and of how I defined my being and was, found my way by obsession in the corridor of fathers, who in reverse shone, these men of wood, their paper egress, the only light, a torch given to the grass wanting ingot, a trenchant force stamping and kicking dirt, calling for water. I return to the kettle, which is singing by way of smoke, and see all moved on to gone desert, sun bare against the railroad track, and casting out to cold so much self what's left inside. September passages and steaming water, sworn secrets in blue, the air turns to rain and is light again. Before sky is border. Horizon. Brilliantly forged herd of hue see into the them and self prognosis gold, argent splendor, edged fury light the horizon a cool glass rim, color traverse into the no edge, then hurl off, stampede in space before surface, turned on that they are in fact they make it by naming and snapping love in that brim fiber optic of, with this their orbit of self, logic and breed they taxonomy to inevitable divorce only, but the horizon forgives. Tarragon. Infection proclaimed ornament of regal legality flap under the cold, present in again germ cells plumage, their binding ritual of breath spectre is what was family soup, pulled zip-tied into the van, another twirling adamantine tongue neutralizing acid cares, water rag, more useless calories here again, close down gain cages, stutter in pattern, repair to say, in you once is to say to this again, mouth but on the floor are open to build there, the relationship of food particles to swallow, wait, all the bluest sky could be, the many different mounds or once tills, bacterial geography stampede there, captivity and cavity, enzymatic breakdown from the plaque tree soar away, and another heavied in was once just water boiling, the pot mound to be empty, left to origin loaves split will, and again last words banned give render, marrow left culture genetically hijacked, the vegetable buoyant spins boiling in there, fretted yields to broth mounds and mounds, the many dunes of stomached again, cellophane robes gone again to repeat this again and again, here fall the stills, graze, disremember, circuitous, rough crave, open, tectonic, baroque, wreathed lane, location, devices, now cold code only, feed must, there is time, more steaming, absorbed, and it is as large as the inside of ore, a footstep dirt, having dug mud and void, 2 weeks pulled from the river about to breach, page whiteness, vast slab, expanse, clarital daunt, deconstruction of standards, the animamentum aftermath, more empty to fill, to find void, suburge the sentinel sky, a depth self, dive to other, and the egress involve in, open in to scour, viscera, thread, mold spool, the space and opal, megalonic cloud, series of interspersed distances, complex of voids, monolith, wet, slick, not opaque and startling, contour, conduit, oars, let go of, and that I which believed in with everything, to find out, lean in. Innervate, fillet quiver, processing brine, conveyor belt, trawl, winch, haul in, cod schools, the mutating sea, buoy bell, dark lines engulfed by white, without numbers, the monochrome wall clock, the ceiling fan, fluorescent ethereal finger curtain fuzz, earrings on the bedside, coat and clothes hang in the closet, small and spare, room 246. On the frame of the revolving door, gilded El Paseo Hotel. His stomach rumbles. He can't feel her hand on his. He tells her it's no good if it never lasts. He's been talking a lot about ending things, about coming to end. Somehow he got it in him that time was aligned with the starting and ending, and that where they were now was closer to the end than the other. And the end point ideas manifested until all objects on the planet were looking towards their end constantly. And so in that way, ending lives with them more than any present. And because of this, that weight tarnishes the whole everything. And she can't let him think about ending, for all the obvious reasons about them going on. But he won't be brought up out of it, so she says they are swimming to get some bearing, feeling the tide. She says maybe it all has to be this way or they drown. She was talking about knowing and not letting it get over you. She was talking about remembering being what can make a life stable. What she was really saying was that through all ending, you remember yourself and it makes a life somehow. Even when you get lost, she was pretending in order to protect herself from thinking of her endings. He tells her that after enough time too far from the source, that once adrift, there is no what or where and no going back but out, and it is these waves set a body going, and all a body can be. It's always a slow drag to another entire, each reversion an ending, so that they were in just a series of ends, always adrift. Peristaltic waves stretch and pull out and further then until it falls back into itself, which it isn't anymore because it can't be. Memory unlasts. It is aggregate and won't hold, and where that leaves anybody is nowhere. Maybe he doesn't say it all like that, but he tries, or at least he wants to, and she wants him to. He knows to talk about all the roiling, see inside, but he can't always bring in it out of him. So he'll try with his body and hers, and it doesn't often work, but yes, he does believe that this time he manages to say what's within his mind in a way another body can understand and hear. The city's nervous system, brief, uncanny silence. They walk downstairs. The subway compartment darken. On the train, he thinks the times they've gone through the same. He becomes infinitesimal in the frequencies of the electronic throng. Speech reverberates and amplifies in the accent echo chamber. Hurried movement, constant traveler, lightning, a manic school of fish. Below their masks are off, and they are only hypothalamic impulse, and what appeared above as solid and unflinching underground is exposed to be only psychiatric frenzy. Held within the stark architecture is the huge, quavering human intent. Street-side drain pipes secrete. Dissonant feedback loop drench assemblage, a funeral mask, close enough to scrape. Pale flower faces under umbrella. In a slant rhythm, cement skin opens to breathe. Subcutaneous alleys, grave plots, the city swarm. They talk about what their kids have been up to at school, and then they go in at work. She's writing a new essay and he's got a few gigs, and they talk about how the new war is better across the ocean than here, so one cannot bother with it. And they talk about all the tents in the park used to be a nice place. Guess it still is, just not for them, and they can't help but worry over cash, because it's always tight no matter how far up the ladder they climb. There is just no clear view of why. And they both end on breaking even, which puts them up on an overindulging trip. And he says that they should stop with this dive and freshen up. The only way he feels anything is to feed. Some people got a do list, skydiving, Bermuda, see the stones. For a lot of it is just about getting laid or shacking up. And when nothing works out, they fill by wanting. He isn't like others, satiate, full. His stomach's always empty. He's got to get something in between his teeth. She runs her finger along the inside of his wrist. The world becomes holes. Maybe when they hit the end of what they've got going on, it will be better. They avoid talking about their spouses by diving right on all the way into this being about having to find not a greater life and another familiar start, but what life actually is. This is as definitive as they can get close to, even if they aren't permanent. Despite both wanting to split up the marriage. When they chew on it, both have stopped thinking in terms of family. Played that scene out for as much propulsion as they could. This is resolution. It isn't about living for themselves because of their hardships they would go through, kids and bank accounts rationing a physical home. They will never get a fresh start, so this is happening because they are caught up in some sort of between undulation, and theirs, this being together, is a way to whatever it is they're out of. It's starting as proving a point. Now they might be losing touch. Fingers against formica, saucer rim, sugar packet. The ceiling is low and intimate. Waiters, bus tables, empty ashtrays. Vertical windows reflect bare incandescence over the sidewalk. Heard. Finite resources in a dim cafe. Wedding band. Eyes on the slick cement beating. Wet shoes. Phantom parade. Celluloid puddle screen. Mod and swing. Suit and overcoat. Dead perfect. Bodies of nostalgia. Projector screen memories. Mega scraper glass reminisce. Neuroendocrine organ gush. Manic brute thoroughfare. Neon drear. Monter structure bloat. Tremendous metropolis. Too much rain. Palatial factory ship. Seagull drove screech. Gelatinous murk dock light. Vertebral pool wave orifice. Floating on the Pacific are dead squid.